In its quest to provide an open forum for discussion of controversial issues, this station allows hosts and their guests to express themselves without any significant censorship. You're advised that any views expressed by the hosts or their guests are not necessarily the views of Tug Entertainment or its partners.
It's time for the LinkedIn Lady Show. The LinkedIn Lady Show with Carol McManus is designed to inform, inspire, and educate businesses, entrepreneurs, and individuals on the effective use of social media for growing your business. Every social media site has a specific demographic, personality, and purpose. And that's what we'll learn about today. The LinkedIn Lady will interview a variety of guests, business owners who will showcase their business and talk about how they're using social media to stay in touch with customers and to attract new relationships. She'll also have other guests who will be experts in social media who will speak to the use of Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and Google and Plaxo and Squidoo and, of course, LinkedIn. And as trends change and new applications become available, you'll hear it first here. The LinkedIn Lady Show. And now, here's your host, Carol McManus.
Hey everyone, it's Carol McManus. Welcome to the LinkedIn Lady Show. I'm very, very happy to be with you today. We are doing this show live from beautiful Virginia Beach, Virginia, because I just arrived here today. Was very happy, I have to tell you, to leave New York and it's cold weather. It's a little bit better here in Virginia Beach. But what's more important is why I'm here. I think most of you who have been listening to me know by now that my goal is always to continue to educate myself and stay on the cutting edge because there's so much happening in space. And a very special gentleman came into my life about, maybe 2 years ago now, Tom Antion. Many of you may even know Tom, if not personally, certainly by reputation. And one of the offerings that Tom has is to be able to come to his beautiful home here in Virginia Beach, spend a few days with him at what he calls Butt Camp, B-U-T-T-C-A-M-P, but it's an internet marketing retreat. And I am here to learn about how to use the internet more effectively. I use it a lot, as you well know, but there are certainly things that I'm not doing or things that I could be doing better. So no doubt that we will be sharing some of those things in the future. But my guest today is someone who works for Tom. He is an amazing individual. I'm going to have him tell you a little bit more about his background. But let me give a brief introduction because I don't want to waste a minute of the show. I want to jump right into some fabulous content. And today it's all about social media and web. And if you are listening, this is a live show, so feel free to call in if you have a question, and we'll be happy to try to answer your questions. So my guest is Colin Martin. He's been working for Tom Antion for 5 years and is now the head instructor for the Internet Marketing Training Center, Tom's new school. He's managed Tom's social networking duties and is always looking for new ways of engagement, which just intrigues me. So, Colin, welcome to the LinkedIn Lady Show.
Thank you, Carol. I'm so glad you could join us here for the great Internet Marketing Retreat.
And I am, it's a great opportunity. I'm really looking forward to it. But Colin, 5 years, I know you've been doing a lot before you joined Tom, which is one of the reasons I'm sure he brought you on board. So tell us a little bit more about your background.
I was actually a jeweler and a gemologist for the last 25 years before I started doing this. And that industry is very competitive and it's very expensive to open up a store. So I decided to make a career change and maybe become an author. Really didn't know what I wanted to do, but I actually started working for Tom, landscaping his yard.
Wow! Oh, how fun is that?
And I knew nothing about the internet at all. And one day he changed my life by inviting me in while I'm covered with mud, mind you, and grass stains, to come in and start working inside his office to learn the internet. And I soaked up all the 100 and 200 books he has and everything he's ever done, and worked my way up to marketing manager of Antion and Associates and the head instructor of IMTC.
I love that, and what an inspiring story, because I am all about reinvention. My listeners know that's the book that I'm writing, is Reinvent Yourself at Any Age, and it's a fabulous story. So listeners, no matter what you're doing, if you're looking for a new venture, it doesn't necessarily have to be the internet, but let Colin be an inspiration to you. So Colin, let's jump right into some content here to help. My listeners are, for the most part, professionals, entrepreneurs, business people who are really trying to figure out how to maximize their online presence. We also talk about a lot of different businesses, and my guests over time give a lot of tips about their specific business, but we always back end it of how each of us is using this platform to grow our businesses. And some of my guests will talk about Facebook, and some will talk about Twitter. Some will talk about YouTube. Another one is just a blogger. That's his passion. So you and I know there's a big, big space out there and a lot of things that you can do. So my first question to you, I'm going to go right for the jugular here. My first question is, what mistakes are some marketers making when it comes to posting on Facebook and Twitter? Because we know there's a lot of craziness that happens on both those sites.
Well, absolutely, Carol. And the main thing, strangely enough, what most people do, normal people, I wouldn't say normal, but unbusiness-like people, or even the younger generation, they're very good at engagement. Talking to their fans and asking their people's opinions and really putting it out there. And what I've noticed that marketers do, because sometimes we're very logical thinkers or we're pressed for time, is that we over-automate a lot of this social networking. You'll see us tweeting from our tweet deck and other automated systems and scheduling tweets and just having links that go out where we offer maybe a snip of content and a link. And unfortunately, we also do a lot of that on Facebook. We really won't spend the time engaging in a real conversational tone, as opposed to thinking, I'm trying to get links, I'm trying to drive traffic. It's a different mindset that normal people or just regular people or the younger generation, they don't really have that concern. Mm-hmm. Their concern is, what are my friends doing today? What are they thinking? How are they feeling? And really, as marketers, in a conversational tone, if we spend more time actually engaging our followers and our friends on the social networking and making sure that we know what they're doing and their concerns, we'll get a lot more valuable information for our businesses and have this work a lot more for us.
I have to tell you, this is music to my ears, because one of the things that I figured out on my own, and again, people who've listened to me know that there were no books to educate me on how to use this for business back when I started in 2008, which wasn't that long ago. It seems like it was 100 years ago. But the truth of the matter is, what I did was I used my natural networking skills that I use, just like you and I sitting here across from each other, and transferred those to the internet. And I am passionate about the fact that social media, when used properly, is about focus on people and building relationships. It's not about selling and pitching and squeeze pages and opt-in boxes and sales letters and all the things that are certainly legitimate ways to grow business, but you can't do that all the time. You have to do that with discretion, and you, I think, have to earn the right to sell to people. You have to build a relationship and the trust first. So that's what I hear you saying.
Absolutely. It's about content. The content builds the trust, rapport, and credibility that naturally leads people to that funnel of squeeze pages and sales letters. You don't have to push that on them. They'll naturally gravitate towards those resources that we have, our marketing resources, if we just simply start with engagement first.
Yeah, and I love your word engagement. I say building relationships, but I like engagement because it really specifically says what you want to happen. You want that person to be engaged with you. And again, just to share with you another way that I describe this is, we can't lose sight of the fact that even though this is cyberspace and this is a big world out there, I'm one person sitting with my fingers on my keyboard or my iPad, and my message, while it's going out to the universe, the response coming back is going to come back from another human being sitting at his device, responding back to my tweet or my Facebook post or my LinkedIn. And I really think that even though this has all become an electronic, and sort of highly misunderstood medium, the truth of the matter is we're still human beings trying to connect with other human beings and find meaning in that.
Well, social networking's made that a lot easier. It takes away that window to window, and I start to see the real people behind the tweets.
Yeah. And you alluded to something else, too, that I think is important, because I'm a boomer. And, again, this was a newly learned skill for me. But besides being a boomer and not growing up with it, you alluded to something else that I think is important for us to remember, especially for those people who are trying to reach different generations, is this issue of transparency and wanting to know what friends are doing is definitely a Gen Y, Gen Z thing. There is no filter there. They want everything out there, and they don't understand. They don't get concerned about privacy the way people of certainly the boomers and to a large degree the Gen Xers do. So bridging that gap and learning how to communicate in a way that's comfortable without necessarily telling everybody everything about your life, I think is the delicate balance. And there are definitely extremes going on out there, and that's part of that chaos that I was talking about. So let's move on. I have another question. This is a curiosity question because I don't know a lot about this, but I know you do. What is Edgerank, and how does it affect what content my fans actually see?
Well, Edgerank is an algorithm that Facebook has created to show, divide what kind of content fans see. And what I mean by that is that if you fan a page, you may be a fan of 150 different pages.
Right.
But you're not going to see all the posts that go out on those pages in your news feed unless you interact with that page more.
Right.
So there's an actual algorithm that Facebook has that says if I interact with this page, those posts for that page will show up in my news feed because Facebook believes it's relevant to me.
Right.
And they're not just going to show you everything that you like because there's no time for all that.
Right.
So as marketers for your page, you need to understand that your fans aren't going to see everything that you post unless you get them to engage. And a lot of people like to put out news, and they put out links, and they put out information, but they forget about the engagement part, asking for a certain call to action, like this if this helped. Share this post with your friends, making a call to action in your post. When they go in and hit the like or comment button, you're bound to get more of your posts seen by those friends. So you try to engage as much as you can.
Yeah, and what's interesting about that, because I think a lot of people didn't realize this when they made a change, maybe it's 8 or 9 months ago, I lose track of time, but this was true on profiles too, because it used to be you sort of got this stream of everything that was going on, and then I noticed that only certain people were showing up all the time. And again, you're absolutely right. If you don't engage with people, they may be friended with you, but you're not seeing what they're updating, and they're not, more importantly, they're not seeing what you're updating. So what Colin is saying applies to your profile pages for those of you who are not using Facebook or are using it for both. You may have a page for your business, but you're also using a personal profile. So it is important to sort of help Facebook know that you have this interest in what someone else is saying so that you will see those feeds. I love that. So Edgerank, is that a specific tool that you use, or?
Oh, Facebook, it's behind the scenes on Facebook. If
it's behind the scenes.
They run it. You're just suffering from its consequences if it's not done right.
Oh, I love that. And we all suffer with Facebook, and that's a great place to cut. We are going to go to break. We will be back in a couple of minutes, and we're going to talk more about Facebook and Twitter. Stay tuned. This is Carol McManus, America's LinkedIn Lady. We'll be right back.
From Hawaii to the East Coast, she knows how to get the most out of social media. It's the LinkedIn Lady, Carol McManus. And this is the LinkedIn Lady Show. We'll be back with more right after these. Thinking of buying a home? Then join us for the REO Home Show, brought to you by BLB Resources, HUD Asset Manager for 8 Western states and Michigan, with your host, Ray Warda. Tuesdays at noon Central on the Rockstar Radio Network. REO Home Show will have exciting information regarding the real estate industry, focusing on HUD Homes and the great values they offer. HUD Homes offers great benefits to buyers, including owner-occupancy exclusivity bidding periods, amongst many other things we'll discuss. REO Home Show will have some great guests on the panel that will provide excellent information regarding the whole HUD Home selling process, as well as marketing HUD Homes, plus information on some great FHA lending programs available to buyers. Realizing your piece of the American dream is closer than you think. Equal housing opportunity. For more on BLB and the show, check out blbresources.com. Then join us for the REO Home Show, brought to you by BLB Resources, with your host, Ray Warda. Tuesdays at noon Central Time on the Rockstar Radio Network. Are you the kind of parent who just wants their kids to live the life of their dreams? Well, grab your kids and join How to Raise a Millionaire Radio with Ann Morgan James and Jack James. It's a lively interview and call-in show, Thursdays, 6 p.m. Central on the Rockstar Radio Network. This dynamic mother and son team are on a mission. They want to empower kids to dream big and go after those dreams with gusto. They want to fill the world with kid entrepreneurs. Are your kids ready for success? Don't miss their fun antics, lively guests, and discussions. For more on Ann and Jack and their show, check out their website, howtoraiseamillionaire.com. Then join the conversation of lively interviews and call-ins. And let's give our kids the tools and encouragements they need to build a future they can bank on, no matter what the economy throws their way. It's How to Raise a Millionaire Radio with Ann Morgan James and Jack James, Thursdays, 6 p.m. Central on the Rockstar Radio Network. Welcome back to the LinkedIn Lady Show. Here is where you find out what social media can do for you and your business. Now, as trends change and new applications become available, the LinkedIn Lady Show will bring that information to you in an easy-to-understand, fun, and engaging way. Join us now as the LinkedIn Lady continues to show us the way. Now, let's get back to your host, Carol McManus.
Hey everyone, it's Carol McManus. Welcome back to the LinkedIn Lady Show. We are here today with my very special guest, Colin Martin. Colin works for Tom Antion here in beautiful Virginia Beach, Virginia, and he is the head instructor at the Internet Marketing Training Center, Tom's new school, which many of you know about. And if you don't, all you need to do is send me an email on linkedinlady.com, or if you want the direct email, it's Carol McManus at linkedinlady.com, and I will be happy to get you in touch with the right people. So, Colin, let's pick up the thread of what we were talking about. I think we probably alarmed a lot of people right before the break, talking about the fact that all of the effort that they're putting into feeding content and filling their page and hoping that all of their raving fans are seeing that content. What you just told them was the bad news, that Facebook's behind-the-scenes metrics actually blocks a lot of that, and that it's only going to get to the fans who actually engage with them. Did I say that right?
Absolutely. And what that really means in short order is forcing yourself to be more engaging gets more of your promotion seen. And as marketers, that's the whole point of being on social networking, is to engage your fans and to understand what they're all about, but to also promote ourselves and our links. And if no one sees them, then we've kind of wasted our time in terms of social networking.
So here's the next logical question. You use the word engagement, and I do a lot of speaking, and one of the things that I was taught as a speaker is a great way to engage the audience is to tell stories. So my question to you is can storytelling compel your fans to be more engaging?
Absolutely. Storytelling is the biggest thing you can really do with social networking because, first off, it drops down a lot of resistance. People open up to stories, and you can lead people along, especially on social networking like YouTube or even Twitter. You can have ongoing stories and ongoing dramas, and these you can use stories to promote your businesses and to engage people. They can offer their feedback. You can offer to hear their stories and trade back and forth. All that engagement is going to break through those algorithms and raise you to the higher levels of engagement inside the news feeds and promotions.
And just to pick up on that, one of the things that, again, that I learned from somebody who's very, very effective at this, it's telling a story, but it also, one of the ways to tell a story is to get people in conversation. So his feed, or his seed, I should say, is to ask questions.
Absolutely.
And to, because people love to offer their opinion, so they can actually build the story for you. So what are some of the types of stories that you've seen on Facebook that you thought were particularly compelling and interesting?
The best stories really can reflect around your own business. So if you have a consulting business about leadership skills, those stories about leadership and how people have used those to rise to the top of their industries, those stories are best. Not only are you getting engagement with those followers and fans, they're interested, your target market is interested in the stories that you tell that are directly related to their success. So you want to talk about stories involving around your industry and your market, and there's always stories about public speaking and leadership skills and marketing. There's a story for any kind of industry, and the more you encourage those, the more people get engaged and want to tell their stories as well.
And something we should say here, it's probably obvious, but I think I want to do a qualifier here. The stories we're talking about are the real stories from your life and your business and things that are happening. We're not talking about being a novel writer and making up fiction as you go along. Now, if my fiction fans who are out there, if you are an author writing fiction, there's different ways you can do that. The stories you can tell is, what happened today when you hit writer's block, you turned on the computer and you couldn't think of anything to write, or what is your character struggling with right now, and Are you going to carry your favorite character into your next book? So there's lots of things they can do to make it real, which ties to the novel. I just wanted to throw that in there because I know I have some writers who are friends of mine. So I want to ask you another question, because this is something that confuses a lot of people. What is the difference between promotion and curation? I've heard those terms, and I honestly don't know what they mean.
Well, a lot of the big companies now, and we discussed a little earlier about how we can learn from the big companies to help our small business succeed more in social networking, is that in the old days you had the 30-second TV ad and it was just a promotion. And you didn't have any real control over that. You just watched the commercial and it is what it was, and they promoted it. There was no feedback back and forth. Nowadays, you're able to take what your fans say about your business or their concerns and ask them about their concerns and curate those into new products and a new way of engaging, listening to them and engaging back and forth, taking what they say on any medium and turning it into a marketing technique is called curation. So you're actually taking the seed they planted and growing it into something new, which is different than strict promotion.
And you know what's really funny about that? Actually, I did know what it was. I had just never heard that term before. I love that term, curation, because it makes logical sense once you put it in context for me. What's really interesting about that, since I was in the corporate world for so many years, marketing in the corporate world are a bunch of people in the marketing department, highly talented, highly energetic people, usually very creative people, but they sit around trying to decide and create what they think their customer wants.
Right.
And they'll do some customer focus groups, and they may, put a survey or two out. But at the end of the day, there's a much more control and much more ownership of what evolves. And one of the things that I've learned since I've been in this crazy entrepreneurial space is that the worst thing in the world you can do is to build it and hope that they will come. What you're saying is, and I think I'm sort of coming at your point from a slightly different angle, is have them come to you, engage them in conversation, and then from that, your product, your service, your speech, your whatever your positioning is, again, whatever your business is going to move and grow based on what your customer is telling you want.
That's exactly right. That's how you use the power of your customer. See, we've got to remember that social networking is our customer's territory. We don't own it like we used to radio and TV commercials. It's their arena. We have to play by their rules. So as long as they're engaging and offering opinions, no matter bad or good or whatever, we can take those as seeds to create more engagement and actually use them as product creation, finding out what's good for us.
That makes so much sense. And you touched on something else that, again, I believe everybody's aware of today, but I know there's businesses out there that are still fighting this model that the customer is in charge today. The consumer has more information than they've ever had. They have more passion for expressing how they feel about you, your company, your service, your product. They always had that passion, but they might talk to their 10 neighbors about it, at a neighborhood picnic. Now they go online and they put it out there, on, it could be any number of sites, but they'll put their opinions out there, and it's going out to the world. I mean, one of my, favorites are, there's many, but the Twitter stories of things that have happened, and I wouldn't say brought down big companies, but certainly cost companies a lot of money because of something that got tweeted out. I'm thinking of the American Airlines story last year where I forget the details now, but I know it ended up, because they didn't handle a simple problem for somebody, it ended up costing them a lot of money later on because of the negative press from one that started as one tweet that went viral. And that's pretty dangerous. So anything else, any other tips you can share with us about how to go about? Because I'm thinking that people might be listening to this saying, okay, what you're saying, Colin, makes sense to me. So how do I go about doing this? Is there a method? Is there a strategy? Is there a way that I can sort of move this along?
Well, you touched on it just a second ago. It was about, I used to go to the mall and see companies doing surveys, asking people their opinion. Now, social networking is instant surveys. You're able to create polls on Facebook. You're able to lead people to polls and opinions and questionnaires. And you can use this to find the concerns of your customer. Those concerns can be addressed as new products and new training for you. So you are building a targeted list of things that people really want instantaneously on social networking. So the use of polls, SurveyMonkey, these different resources have on the internet, use them, drive people there, reward people that finish the polls and give you the correct information, reward them with free resources and ebooks and training. Use what they say and curate those into a new marketing plan. They're telling you what they want. So as marketers, we need to listen to that.
Yeah, well, that's the other piece of this. You can't do the survey and then just draw your own conclusion and ignore what the customer tells you. It's interesting because I've used SurveyMonkey a lot, but it's usually with an inner circle or for a very specific purpose, not sort of the global reach to my list. Because I'm so big on LinkedIn in the professional arena, I've definitely done surveys on LinkedIn and found them to be effective. I've always used Facebook up until probably maybe 4 months ago. My use of Facebook was more with a personal profile, and you probably don't know this, but I really held back launching the LinkedIn Lady page on Facebook because it just seemed a little bit of okay, why is LinkedIn on Facebook? But I'm finding that there's this huge curiosity of people on Facebook wanting to figure out why they should be using LinkedIn and how it can serve them. Yeah. But I had not thought about doing a survey on Facebook, so thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, brand is a brand, and if Facebook is where everyone loves to engage, then no matter what your brand, whether it's LinkedIn or Coke or Nike or leadershipskills.com, that's the place to engage people because they're there every day.
Yeah. And yeah, it's an audience you can't ignore. When you're talking 850 million people worldwide.
The passion about Facebook alone should never be ignored. I mean, people just stay on it all day long. That's a great marketing.
Which is a little scary. Employers, be aware. You want to pay attention. This is not a good thing that we are advocating. In fact, I really have a concern when people stay on it all day long. But you're right. There are people that do that. But I think your point is that is where people are hanging out, and that's where a lot of these conversations are taking place. I had a conversation with a friend of mine here just recently about, isn't it fascinating how the media has completely retrained the population to be their cub reporters at no expense. It's Facebook us on this and answer our survey. Tweet about, the traffic jam along the Queens Bronx Expressway. And so they're using the public to send in your photos, show us the snowstorm, show us the traffic jam. And it cracks me up because for years that we depended on them to have the people out there on the street with their cameras and their microphones. And now we have actually become their source of information, which is brilliant marketing. I mean, you talk about brilliant marketing. They put us to work for them. So we are at the end of our second segment. Time is going way, way, way too fast, and I have many more questions that I want to ask Colin. But we will be back. If you've been listening, which I'm sure you have, we've been talking about Facebook and Twitter, the need for engagement, how you build fans, and to be aware of the fact that just because people are fanning you, they may not be hearing your message. So we're going to talk more about engagement, more about conversational content. This is the LinkedIn Lady. We will be back in just a minute, so stay tuned.
From Hawaii to the East Coast, she knows how to get the most out of social media. It's the LinkedIn Lady, Carol McManus. And this is the LinkedIn Lady Show. We'll be back with more right after these. Get ready for resources, tools, and support to help you build a successful business and live an awesome life. It's the Women's Business Success Show with your host, founder of the Association of Women Entrepreneurs, Tara McHugh. Thursdays at 11 a.m. Central here on the Rockstar Radio Network. Each show will feature a special guest interview. Tara will bring you highly successful entrepreneurs sharing their stories of success. You'll hear about the challenges they faced along their journey, together with the advice they have to help you achieve more. You'll also hear from various personal and business development experts, sharing tips, solutions, and strategies that you can easily implement into your business and life for amazing results. For more on Tara and her show, check out her website, aofwe.com. Then join us for the Women's Business Success Show with your host, the founder of the Association of Women Entrepreneurs, Tara McHugh. Thursdays at 11 a.m. Central here on the Rockstar Radio Network.
Are you fascinated by the stories behind the stories, the people behind their masks, the truth about people's failures and redemptions? in both their business and personal lives, then Off the Record Secrets of with host Judy Schreiner is for you. It's people's secrets that make them interesting, but very few folks are willing to reveal them unless they trust that their information will be treated with accuracy, fairness, and respect. People have been entrusting their secrets to longtime business journalist Judy Schreiner for the last 25 years, and now she's bringing her expertise and impressive contact list to Rockstar Radio Network. Tune in and call in as host Judy Schreiner talks to guests off the record as they reveal new secrets each Tuesday at noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central.
Welcome back to the LinkedIn Lady Show. Here is where you find out what social media can do for you and your business. Now, as trends change and new applications become available, the LinkedIn Lady Show will bring that information to you in an easy-to-understand, fun, and engaging way. Join us now as the LinkedIn Lady continues to show us the way. Now, let's get back to your host, Carol McManus.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the LinkedIn Lady Show. We are here today with my guest, Colin Martin. Colin is the head instructor for the Internet Marketing Training Center, which is Tom Antion's new school. You can access all of Tom's knowledge and experience and his staff through this amazing internet-based school. So again, if you are interested in that, please just shoot me an email through to Carol McManus at LinkedInLady.com, and I will make sure we get you the information. So Colin, before break, we've been talking about promotion and curation and engagement and storytelling. But something else that I've noticed on Facebook that I think some people do very well and some people do poorly, and I'm trying to master and learn, is how do you showcase your fans? Because the thing that I find really interesting is when the person who owns the page takes the emphasis off of themselves and really puts the spotlight on their fans. So what are your recommendations on that, and what's some of the things you've seen?
Well, the easiest thing I've seen is having fans of the week and letting go ahead and now you have control over that content. You're picking someone at random and you're promoting them to your list. And what happens when people do that is people get engaged. They go to the comment box and go, "Yay, Barbara," and this kind of thing. And see that adding the clicks and the likes and the comments are definitely raising past the edge rank here and getting more of your material seen. So you want to make sure that you're engaging your fans with contests,
right,
and active polls, and sending them to places where they can put their opinion in elsewhere, such as generating a Facebook plugin on your website. That plugin that they have, the comments plugin, people can comment on your website, but it's actually posting on their Facebook profiles. So you're asking their opinions, or you're asking for kudos, and they're going in and they're putting their opinions and their 2 cents worth. But in what's really happening is they're spreading like wildfire your message, because all those plugins are interconnected to the profiles. It's not too confusing, really, but it's just a simple. You might have seen it on some of the websites. You'll see a comment box at the bottom.
I have seen that,
Facebook.
But I didn't realize that's how it worked. I thought it was just on the page you were on.
No, when people comment, "This is a great website," or "Love the video," or "Great training," that's actually showing up on their personal profile, so all their friends will see it, which could be thousands of people.
Right,
that
exactly.
are clicking out there, and that is also giving you social proof that people are into the website that you have and that people are engaging. But the whole idea of engaging fans at all is showcasing people, asking their opinions, polls.
I love the fan of the week. Yeah.
Fan of the week, we just started doing that. That's very engaging. People want to come back next week to see if it might be them who are featured for that week.
Yeah, I know in the contest, I know a lot of my speaker friends have contests where they will give away seats. Sometimes it's an actual product. It could be something as dramatic as an iPad, that they give away. But it really does get engagement because people pay attention if they think there's something at the end of the rainbow. But I don't even think it needs to be that dramatic. I love the idea of just showcasing them and talking about them and their business. That's a very, very cool idea. Okay, fans, you can start looking for that on my site and on my page. So let's start tying this to some of the other. We've been talking a lot about Facebook here, but how does conversational content differ between the different platforms? Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Google+, and the list goes on and on. But let's just start with those four.
Yeah, very quickly, the difference between these is usually the media or the medium that they're using, the kind of content, and the size of the content. Obviously, we have Twitter on the one end, where we only have the 160 character limit, so that we have to be very creative with our conversation. And usually what we do is, we've touched on it a little bit earlier, is asking questions. Asking questions, you can simply ask a question and have a clickable link, and people really click on the link to see what the answer is going to be.
Right.
And that's a short way of doing it. Facebook, you're able to engage people over and over and respond to comments. Someone can leave a comment and you can respond to that comment, and then you can go in and people can like each one of those comments, so it's starting to spread out. On something like YouTube, you can literally have a whole series of training or storytelling with the videos that can just be a part 1, part 2, part 3 series of stories or training or anything else. So YouTube is far more dynamic. And then, of course, you encourage people to leave the comments, and you can comment on other people and try to drive traffic with that. So really, the content that you have on YouTube is within the videos themselves.
Right.
And Google Plus is very long. We're actually using that more like a blogging platform, where we're writing down our big, long daily thoughts and letting that get indexed into the Google network. So it's a little bit different than Facebook and Twitter. It's more, I'm actually typing in articles and longer thoughts into Google Plus, and it's a platform where it's more like a blog now.
That's interesting. And it does support something that I've said all along, that each of these has a different purpose, a different audience, and the integration of it is where it really sings. Now, having said that, I will tell you, because I get the emails after a show like this that say something along the lines of, my head is exploding, this is way too much, how do I manage it? So I want to sort of circle back. That's something that you said at the very beginning of the show, and let's explore this a little bit. You mentioned about the danger in over-automating and using applications to be able to manage all of this. But yet at the same time, if you're going to manage your time and still do your business and use social media as a marketing tool to support that business, how do you manage all of this? So what suggestions do you have, or what applications do you think do work?
Well, I've basically gotten things down to quality over quantity. And it's not the number of tweets you put out, which was the thinking maybe a couple years ago. Well, if I tweet out 20,000 times to 20,000 followers, that's a lot of coverage. Well, really, people are ignoring that, and it's not being seen. Just spending a few moments each day, maybe 15 to 20 minutes a day, just going to each of your platforms and putting a thought out there, like a tip of the day. I like to go to Facebook and have Wacky Wednesday, Free File Friday, Big Tip Tuesday, where I release something that's like a gift, like a free ebook, and then I encourage people to leave their comments about that book and to use the material. They're going to comment all day long, so I really don't have to go back and spend a lot of time on Facebook engaging. They're engaging for me because of the format that I actually put that out there. To give something away like that creates a bit of a fervor, like a white sale at the store, an old retail trick. Once you open the doors to that, the fans take it over, and that releases you from having to stay on it all day long. If I can send out now 10 or 15 tweets that are engaging, that really, because of the engagement and thinking it through, are a little bit more powerful than the 50 that I used to put out that were just a link and just a promotion, and and I would put those all into some kind of tweet deck or scheduled tweet release, and I realized those weren't even converting as much as just spending 5 minutes answering people one-on-one.
Yeah, and boy, have I heard that over and over from people. Again, it goes back to my premise that people still want to connect with people. They want to get close to you. They want to actually have you. So going back to, would you use Twitter then to send people to the Facebook page to see this new ebook? Is that what I hear you're saying?
Yeah, I would get on there, and I would just pinpoint a few, early on in the day, I would pinpoint a few of the people that are asking questions, and I may put a few answers and retweet people. There's retweeting and answering people's questions. You only need to do that a few times of the day to keep your engagement up. Like I said, you can do that 10 or 12 times, which isn't that many tweets, just going in a few minutes of the day, rather than putting in 100 tweets that seem robotic and don't really mean anything. You can tell they're automated. Now that's a real waste of time. So the engagement, you actually have to work less and just be more creative to get more out of these social networks.
And I love where you started with this whole conversation, which is really more about the quality of your content than it is about the quantity. And I think you made another interesting observation too, because when I got into this space, there was this frenzy of you got to tweet, you got to post, you got to update, you got to do all these things all the time. And again, because I'm a little bit stubborn, I still wasn't seeing the forest for the trees. So I deliberately didn't do that, but yet I was getting results. So I think, by accident, I was doing some of the things that you're talking about. And then we've all gotten a little smarter. And what's really, really interesting is now as I speak in front of audiences or when I'm talking with clients, they will tell me what types of behaviors they like and don't like and point out things that people are doing. I'll give you a quick example. It happens to be a LinkedIn example of someone who had been to my programs, and I was talking about the importance of updating every day so that you show up on the network updates in front of your connections, because it's up there for 24 hours, and if you are active every day, then you will continue to show up. Well, he took that to an extreme, and what he did was he was updating basically the same message with the same link, which most often went to his blog or wherever he was posting his information, but he was doing the same thing like 8 times a day, like every hour and a half he would put out the same update. And it was like, you gotta stop doing that. You're driving people crazy. And he realized that people were unconnecting him, that they were dropping him or turning him, turn off the noise. So if you're listening to Colin and you're listening to my advice, please, please, please use some common sense here. If you go to a networking event, you don't run up to every person in the room, belly to belly, chest to chest, nose to nose, and say, "Hi, I'm Carol McManus, and I do this, and you want to buy this from me." And you walk around the room, and then you do the second circuit, and the third circuit, and the fourth circuit. That's what it would feel like, that intensity of, will somebody get me away from this person? They're driving me nuts.
It's also very time-consuming.
Well, it's time-consuming and ineffective.
Yeah, so that you're able to manage your time a little bit better by actually engaging more.
I love it. All right, so let's go to the big platform here, because something that again, before the show started today, that you shared with me that I'm passionate about. Again, I came out of a big corporation, and big corporations have big egos and big budgets. They've always controlled the marketing space. And of course, in the old days, it was TV and radio and print and direct mail and billboards and park benches and all those kinds of things. And the little guys, the little business people, had very limited budgets. Direct mail usually was the preferred, direct mail, flyers, maybe some print advertising locally, but there weren't a lot of options. I firmly believe that social media has totally leveled the playing field. So do you agree with that? And then give us your thoughts on the big guys versus the little guys and what we can learn from each other.
Well, let me tell you a story about that. The little guy, Coke, just recently did a search on YouTube of the word Coke and Coca-Cola, and found that there were 53 million bits of information about Coke that they had put out, but 126 million bits of information with the word Coke and Coca-Cola that regular people had put out. So regular people are now controlling the image by the opinions that they had about Coke rather than the company itself.
Wow. Okay. We're going to go to commercial break here. You have got to come back, repeat those numbers, and then let's talk more about the importance of what you just said. That's huge. And that really is absolutely the perfect story. So stay with us. This is Carol McManus, America's LinkedIn Lady. We will be right back for our last segment.
From Hawaii to the East Coast, she knows how to get the most out of social media. It's the LinkedIn Lady, Carol McManus. And this is the LinkedIn Lady Show. We'll be back with more right after these. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for you to be a rock star. Get ready to rock with Rock Talk and Craig Deswald, and learn how to achieve rock star status in your industry. Every Tuesday afternoon at 2, OneCentralOnTogiNet.com. Craig Deswald is the creator of the Rockstar System for Success. Craig will share easy tips and strategies on how entrepreneurs and businesses can use outside-the-box marketing strategies to stand out from their competition. Each high-energy show will feature interviews with celebrity rock stars as well as business rock stars. For more on Craig, the show, and the Rockstar Marketing Boot Camps, check out the website, CraigDuswalt.com, so you can learn how to be perceived as an expert and celebrity in your field, so more people come to you to buy your services and products. Then, get ready to be a rock star with Rock Talk and Craig Duswalt. Tuesday afternoons at 2, 1 Central on TogiNet.com. Booyah! That's the word uttered when you know you have the upper hand. Or you're the winner. Well, now, we have the Booyah Radio Hour with Martin Pressey. Tuesdays at 9, 8 Central on TogiNet.com. Martin's show is all about helping speakers and authors find their niche, create their brand, and achieve massive success. Each week, Martin will interview guests from around the world who have achieved tremendous success as speakers and authors. You'll find out who they are, what they do, and how you can follow in their footsteps to achieve incredible results. Guests will come from around the world of business, entertainment, finance, the arts, and sciences. Nothing is off topic. No subject too taboo. We'll share valuable information as well as huge laughs as we discover the ups and downs of being a successful speaker and author. The Booyah Radio Hour with Martin Pressey. Tuesdays at 9, 8 Central on TogiNet.com. Welcome back to the LinkedIn Ladies Show. Here is where you find out what social media can do for you and your business. Now, as trends change and new applications become available, the LinkedIn Ladies Show will bring that information to you in an easy-to-understand, fun, and engaging way. Join us now as the LinkedIn Lady continues to show us the way. Now, let's get back to your host, Carol McManus.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the LinkedIn Ladies Show. This is Carol McManus, and here today with my guest Colin Martin, who is the head instructor for the Internet Marketing Training Center, Tom Antion School. And right before break, I sort of hit you with a very big question, and you answered back with some very big, stunning numbers. So I want to go back and let's just reframe it for people, because this is a big topic. And for my entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, small business people, professionals who are listening, this is the segment that you really want to tune into, because this is how you compete with the big guys. So the question was, what can the small businesses learn from the big guys? And you gave some statistics about Coke. Would you share those again?
Yeah, I want to go over that. Coke did a search of the Coke and Coke brand just on YouTube. How many views did mention Coke that their company put out? And they found it was 50 million, 53 million.
Pretty impressive number.
Yes, it is. Good marketing on there.
Good marketing.
Lots of coverage. But 126 million views of Coke and Coke brands that weren't released by the company, that were fan content or just opinions. And what was shocking about that is that Coke, over 125 years of advertising, had always had control over their message. Now it was gone. The fans controlled the message, and the fans controlled the image of the company. So the company just can't say whatever it wants in its marketing. People were there to refute and offer opinions, and the reach was even greater, 3 times greater.
I was going to say 3 times greater, yeah.
So they used that to start a more of an engagement. To tell stories, to have a more liquid dialogue, to
no pun intended.
Right. To have a more liquid dialogue with their fans, to showcase fan content, and to encourage people to make their own commercials and to sing songs. And I mean, you've seen contests where people say, make up a theme song for Chips Ahoy and win something.
Right.
And then you got thousands of people singing this song, releasing it on YouTube, and that was the marketing. Now didn't even cost Chips Ahoy or anybody that money. The fans were doing it, and even the amount of advertising dollars was spread thin. You can do that as a small business too. If big companies are losing control over the big buck image and going straight to the fans to tell them what content is important, as a small business person, you now have a level playing field to simply go to your fans and ask what's important and engage with them and let them spread your message. You don't need the big bucks because obviously that's become a thing of the past. And even though Coke may have or Nike may have a whole team of people that are constantly running their social networking, you still have your small influence of social networking, and your fans that you build up on your page are just as receptive and just as loyal as any one of those fans for those big companies, just on a smaller level of numbers. So you want to use the same tactic as engaging the fans, telling stories, letting them do testimonials for your product, and letting them share the message of your company with all their friends, just like Coke and Nike are now doing. And so it used to be that the big advertising bucks did have all the control. But now the playing field is leveled. We have the idea of just engaging our peeps and our followers and our friends to do the work for us, which saves a lot of time and gets a lot of mileage.
So let me ask you, actually two things come to mind in what you're saying. Number one, I have said to my clients, the beauty of social media, it doesn't take a multi-million-dollar marketing budget. It is, for all intents and purposes, free. However, that's not entirely true. It does take time, and time is not free. There is a price tag on that. And here's the kickback that I get from my clients. So I'd love your opinion on this. Is, look, I'm just a small company. I'm a solopreneur. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a small businessman. We're down to bare bones because we had to shrink because of the economy. Everybody's doing the job of 2 or 3 people. I don't have time to run social media. I don't have time. I don't know who to give it to. So what are some of the suggestions that you would make to the person who is struggling with time but yet knows they need to be doing this?
I would suggest that they do use the platform that they find is most comfortable, that they feel like they're getting the most response from. And as internet marketing experts know, that you can use something like Google Analytics on your site to see which one of these platforms the traffic is really coming from. A lot of the times I'll have all of them going, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, and Google+, and I realize that Facebook is the one getting all the traffic. Well, that's the one I want to spend more time on.
Right.
And really, if I don't have time for YouTube or LinkedIn or one of the others, or they don't seem like they're working as well for me, I may have an outsource or a geek or an intern help me with those, or I may drop that altogether until I figure out a different plan. But I want to spend all my time and creativity on the one that's really driving the traffic, because that's where the money's going to come from in the long run.
That's a great answer. So now let me ask you the second thing that flashed into my mind. And again, I'm reflecting questions to you that are coming to me from my clients. And it's one of scope and geography. It's hard for small businesses to wrap their head around how they compete. They understand that Coke is worldwide, and Coke has that international audience, and the internet makes sense for Coke, makes sense for Nike, makes sense for Amazon, or for Zappos, or for Kodak, or some of the other names that are big out there. But I'm just a little guy running my little boutique store, in Podunk, Iowa. Sorry, Podunk, Iowa. That's not a slam. That's just a reference point. And what does this really mean to me? Because, I'm in a town with a population of 8,000 people. So how is this going to serve me? I have my answer. I want to hear yours.
Well, I would use something like a Facebook fan page in my town, because I know that most of the people are on Facebook. Even in my town, they're on Facebook because we're accessible anywhere in the world. But I would focus on a localized sense there. I would put a Facebook page out that encouraged fans to come out for a special event, to use a certain coupon, to sign up for a text messaging service, anything that I can leverage right into the local arena myself using that fan page. It doesn't have to be a national audience that I'm trying to spend money, time to reach. It can be the 8,000 people in my town. If some of my competitors in that town are not using Facebook to really engage the fans in a conversation and to make me look like the man and the business to go to, then they're losing and I'm winning when I'm going there to put that page out. So even on a local sense, it's not about the amount of fans. It's how many are loving you and falling in love with your business and your interactivity that you create on social networks.
I love that. And there's nothing that I can even add to that. I think you said it so well. I tell people, use keywords, use the name of your town, get it out there, promote it. And by the way, if you're a small business in a town of 8,000 and you're doing these things, you're going to be the hottest ticket in town because people will see you as cutting edge. So, Colin, we started off sort of on this whole global subject of conversational content. What do you see as the future of conversational content and social networking? Because I've seen a big seismic shift in the last 18 to 24 months, as you have, in how people are using social media. It's gotten more sophisticated. It's gotten more skewed to the business side than it, and let's use, again, Facebook as an example. Facebook was never intended for business use. But where do you see it going?
Well, what I see is we got to put down the technology a little bit and the automation and the time factors and try to wrap our head around a whole different concept. And the concept is, what am I putting out there that is making my fan or friends fall in love with me? Because that is the number one thing. Just like in a regular relationship, we talk about.
I was going to say, it sounds like dating.
It is like dating. And the way you approach your friends and followers now is a little bit like asking people out on a date. It's carefully planned out to show you in your best light, to engage, to care about the customer, to ask their opinions, to show that you're interested, and all that leads back into falling in love, because with that love will take care of itself. The content that you put out that makes people love you is the same one that will make them do business with you without being on there all day long, without putting out 500 tweets, without annoying links and calls to action and hype. You don't need any of that. People used to go to the social networking because it had a lot of power to promote, but you don't want to promote. You want to curate, and you want people to love you. And when they do, you can trust your customer to do any conversion that you like. If they love you as a pizza shop, they'll come and eat, as long as they know that.
And they'll recommend it to their friends.
Exactly. On Facebook, they know that you're loving them back. Then that's all it takes.
So a qualifying question here, because the phrase, and it's been very overused in this space for the last several years, content is king. It's all about content. So help us understand and tie these two things together. Content is king and conversational content.
Content used to be just educational material like ebooks and things that flew out there. Now content is the stories, that liquid dialogue that we talked about that Coke is using. It's fan content. It's testimonials. Let your people provide the content for your business by giving testimonials and sharing that with their friends. Let them be in charge of the content. It also frees up your time, and the content is not one-directional. There's just a dialogue. Conversation is content. Mm-hmm. And we got to go away from content being 500-word article to just simple conversation. And then you'll realize that content still is king, actually more so now than ever.
And what's really interesting to that has to be music to the ears of some of my listeners, because one of the kickbacks that I get from both listeners and from clients is, I'm not a good writer. I can't write content. I can't blog. I can't, and they stress over the fact that they feel they have to create all this wisdom, in a 500-word paragraph.
That's putting a wall around yourself, just being yourself. And that's it. Opening yourself up, like we said, going on a date and showing the real world, your real business sense will make them fall in love with you.
I love it. So we have about 2 minutes left, so I'm going to ask you the big question. What single piece of advice would you give the people who are listening that they absolutely must do today? If they're doing it, do more of it, and if they're not doing it, they need to start.
I have to go right back to where we talked about measuring our successes on the internet. You have to put analytics on your website. You have to see what's working and what's not working. We're going to kill ourselves trying to figure out, is this converting? Am I wasting my time? I hear that constantly. You need to measure your success through analytics. You have to know that the love is actually happening. You have to know that it's a two-way street. To get the most out of social networking, the number one thing you can do is decide which one is working for you and put all your effort and conversation into that one, and know that the traffic will increase, and let the others go for a little while until you can figure out which one's best. It could be LinkedIn, it could be YouTube. You don't know until you watch.
Where your customers hanging out. Colin, thank you so much. This has been an amazing show. This is America's LinkedIn lady, Carol McManus, signing off today with Colin Martin. And as always, please continue listening. We'll bring you great content. I wish you quality connections and natural networking. Have a great day.
Thank you for being a part of the LinkedIn Lady Show on TogiNet.com with Carol McManus. The LinkedIn Lady Show is here to show you and your business how every social media site has a